Good afternoon, everyone. Rob here from Nutridyne Europe. We're back again with lesson 5 with Dr. Robert Silverman. This time, the detox solution. Same as always, if any attendees have any questions, you can pop them in the box on the right-hand side, and we'll go over them at the end. So let's get straight to it. Dr. Rob, I'll pass it over to you, and away we go.
Thanks so much, Rob. I really appreciate it. As always, I'm very excited to be here. I can tell you that detox is a critical element to my functional medicine toolbox. I think there's a lot of questions and a lot of points that patients have, and there's some misunderstandings, if you will. So for instance, I'd like to address, if I can plant the question, and Rob will bring it back at the end, what's the difference between a detox and a cleanse? How about a colon cleanse? Isn't that part of the detox? Isn't that a detox? These are questions that I get asked all the time. A fruit detox, how about that? So these, again, I know Rob's writing those down. I'll try and cover those through the presentation, but I think they're good as separate questions. These are a lot of things that people always ask. How about a very low calorie intake, like 500 calories to detox? So those are the 4 to 5 questions that I really get asked a lot. But the real key to it all is the detox solution is, without question, a multifaceted approach to detoxification. There's multiple pathways. When we're talking about detox, for this webinar, we're going to be talking about liver detoxification, biotransformation, and that's going to be a critical takeaway for everybody. We're going to talk about the liver. There's higher level detoxes that we can talk about. We'll touch upon the estrogen detox today. There's one that I think for a future webinar would be great for a cognitive heavy metal detox. This is more baseline what we're doing today, but that, again, planting the seed for growth for later. Toxins, toxins, toxins. You can't be a clean fish in a dirty bowl. The problem that we have is so hard to find controls. And the reason it's difficult to find a control is I think every patient walking around has been exposed to a certain amount of toxins, certainly where I live in North America and certainly where you guys live in the EU. The hidden load. What's invisible is truly hurting us. Let's take a look at these 5 pictures. The one in the left corner, you're looking at all the toxins coming out of the chimney, chimney smoke. Clearly, I mean, everybody has chimneys. That poses a problem. That's bad. That's air pollution. And believe it or not, air pollution is a toxin. Then we've got cars. Well, I've been in London. I've been in Oxfordshire. Got a lot of cars. Just like when I walk in the 30 minutes from my house to New York City, got a lot of cars. There's a lot of smoke. There's smog, etc. Interesting, paint. You're looking at painting the walls. We used a natural paint in my office. Most people who have paint, you'll find out, have a lot of lead. There's a lot of pesticides, and you're inhaling that. That's your living environment, your home. Sewage. We're exposed to sewage, and maybe the biggest one. Look at healthcare items. I'm going to have a slide on that. The items that you use in the healthcare system get absorbed into your body in 26 seconds. So it's pretty quick. So you don't have enough time typically, if you use them, to run and go wash your hands, if you will. Environmental toxins. All of us in an ever-increasing world, many of the toxins that are abundant today in our environment today did not even exist over 30 years. As the CDC in America begins to test all these toxins, the more they test for, the more become prominent. So we really have a high need for detoxification. And the reason is the body's burden from environmental toxins include pesticides, herbicides, chemical solvents, xenobiotics, and industrial chemicals of all types, which come through our food, water, and our air supply. Toxic overload, just from water. Interesting. Since World War II, there's been 80,000 new synthetic chemicals which have been released into the environment, and less than half have been tested for potential toxicity to adult humans. So we can look at it from the air, and if you will, neurotoxins found in 33% of random sampling of drinking water You can look at it from the water. So air, land, and water are areas in which we are all toxic and all exposed to toxins. Unfortunately, more than 287 toxic chemicals have been found in the newborn umbilical cord blood. So this statement was very telling in that specific genes are turned on and off at a certain time interval, and any disruption of this finely tuned DNA methylation regulation may persistently alter gene expression. The fetal epigenome is most susceptible during this development period to epigenetic modifiers in the maternal environment. An error such as critical time may lead to an abnormal phenotypical outcome in the offspring. Bottom line, takeaway here is fetuses are exposed before they are born through the umbilical cord. So the real question is, and we're always going to take science and bridge it to Monday morning application. How many of your patients could benefit from a detoxification program? It's a great question to ask yourself right now. I would venture to guess if you stopped, you would think a large amount. How do you know? Well, let's start with signs of a toxic buildup. Any patients have one of these signs, you may know that the system is down, and that system would clearly be the liver detoxification system. Number one, fatigue, allergies, joint pain, headaches, constipation, mood swings, immune weakness, skin conditions, abdominal pain, sinus congestion, backache or chronic backache, hormone imbalance, weight loss resistance, which we're going to talk about, and difficulty concentrating. When tested, the CDC noticed the 287 chemicals that everybody was exposed to. These 6 in particular were most prominent. Number one, PBDEs. They're flame retardant. Anytime you're going into a hotel, the carpeting, the curtains, all are flame retardants, so everybody doesn't blow up. Your mattress is full of flame retardants. BPA, we're going to have a whole list, a litany of different studies pertaining to BPA and BPS. They're in packaging plastics. PFOA, a non-stick cookware. Acrylamide. Acrylamide comes out when carbohydrates are cooked at a high temperature or when you cook coffee at a high temperature. It's that bitter taste that you get from a Dunkin' Donuts and a Starbucks. You get a lot of mercury in seafood. And last, MTBE, which is secondhand smoke, gasoline additive. There's a direct association between urinary BPA concentration and obesity, both in children and adolescents. So where are they getting it? They're getting it via exposure. They're getting it also via their parents. 47% higher diabetes risk with those with the highest levels of urinary BPA. So take a moment and look at that. We all look at blood sugar, critical element. We're not realizing that BPA, or a larger number of BPA from the plastic bottles that we drink, can elevate our incidence of diabetes. Diabetes, one of the most damaging conditions we can have to our immune system. Plastic particles are found in bottled water. They tested major brands, brought in 9 different countries, found nearly all contained particles of plastic. 93% of the bottled water tested positive for signs of microplastic contaminations. And here are those numbers in BBC News, March 15th, 2018. Now let's really dig in on this BPA. BPA, autoimmunity to brain and nerve tissue. BPA impacts the brain because it actually is able to bind to human tissue, leads you down a path of causing an immune response that can trigger autoimmunity, attacking of your body, to the myelin sheath, which coats the brain and a lot of nerve fibers. You really want to avoid any BPA, BP in general, for anybody who has brain inflammation, multiple sclerosis, or autism, i.e., obviously, neurodegenerative disease. I love when I tell my males this. BPA may cause testosterone reduction by adversely affecting both the testes and pituitary systems, very similar to estradiol. When I sit and tell them they've got to watch their BPA intake and what this can do, this is very typically the answer that they give me. Cash register receipts. Let's go through this. This is a schematic diagram of the protocol for an experiment in which the thermal receipt paper was containing BPA was held with a hand wet using Purell hand sanitizers. After the subjects picked up 10 French fries and ate them, this resulted in both oral and transdermal routes of exposure. So here you are, and look at this exposure. The exposure is via the gastric, so you're consuming, you've touched the paper. We have non-BPA paper in our office. The Purell doesn't break up the BPA. You eat a sushi, a piece of sushi, you eat a French fry, finger foods. You now get the BPA through your gastric, stomach, small intestine to your liver. It goes to your systemic circulation, your kidney, and you'll excrete it. It also goes through the whole body, in addition to getting it sublingually. BPA is an ovarian toxin. So the takeaway here was the doctor said he thinks more scientists working today agree that BPA is an ovarian toxin. The review of the research published in Environmental Health Perspectives, ovarian toxicity among the most consistent and strongest effects found in both animal models and in women. BPA has an adverse effect on in vitro fertilization. Exposure to BPA may lead to a reduced quality of embryos during reproduction. The study showed that BPA could be a cause for a decrease in the frequency of implantation pregnancies and live birth rates in couples seeking in vitro fertilization. We have a fertilization doctor, a very big, well-known doc. He's #1 in Westchester. He's #3 in the state of New York. I do a lot of nutrition with him, in that two of the things that we do all the time is very simply detox these women and bring their blood sugar down to get them to a point where everything is more susceptible to implantation and the process works much more effectively. BPA replacements cause reproductive problems, so it really doesn't matter if it's BPA, BPA free, all these that have any kind of BP in the cups and bottles are problems for the reproductive system. Now, where we are, we got BPA in America, and Canada has BPS. It doesn't really matter. Anything, once again, bearing BPA-free labels causes an abnormal growth surge of neurons in an animal embryo. BPA exposure in the US approved levels that altered insulin response. The conclusion was very clear. Low dose exposure to BPA in the absence of glucose triggers an insulin response. BPA alters insulin resistance in humans and mice in both control and placebo groups. So I think I've made my point. We really want to avoid BPA. Interesting. BPA and the BPA substitute can trigger fat cell formation. These BPA-free products are very similar to what we call endocrine disrupting effects. They mimic estrogen. So here you are, the BPA, BPS actually cause a hormonal disruption because they block the estrogen receptor site very quickly, not allowing estrogen to get absorbed, leading to a high level of estrogen, which leads women, men also have this issue, women down the path of higher estrogen, which is typically a higher incidence of breast cancer, and also a higher incidence of what we like to refer to as PMS. Men, if their estrogen is too high, the inverse relationship is testosterone is too low. So mom's exposure to BPA during pregnancy actually put her baby on a course to obesity. 94% of pregnant women had detectable levels of BPA that was associated with obesity in children by the age 7. BPA has flawed analytical techniques which actually compromise risk assessments. So it's interesting, exposure to BPA was actually underestimated by 44 times. Levels in homes and exposure was higher than previously assumed. As we all know, as I've indicated, BPA can interfere with body hormones. Let's move on to phthalates. Just this conversation that I'm having with you now, if you share with your patients, you're going to see a tremendous eye-opening response. Phthalates damage the chemistry of fatty acids, especially fish oil or DHA. creates a zinc deficiency, which can compromise the metabolism of vitamin A and vitamin B6, damages the pancreas, and damages hormone function, especially thyroid and testosterone. Phthalates, in many of my case studies, have been implicated in leading the doctor down a path. Because if you go back, you'll see it's a zinc and a B6 deficiency down a path of mimicking what we call the reason for high glucose or blood sugar dysregulation. And many doctors just treat that. But in the functional medicine world, understanding that these toxic chemicals can damage systems and receptor sites, really testing and looking for these chemicals can lead you down a path of getting to what we like to refer to as root cause resolution. Phthalates. The results in this study in 2017, increased age in Western diets were associated with higher concentrations of phthalates. Cardiovascular, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure increased among those men with a higher phthalate level. Elevated phthalate levels increased inflammatory biomarkers. So phthalates are very damaging to overall body systems. One quick aside, fast food may expose consumers to harmful chemicals called phthalates. So we have to be real careful. So it's fascinating to me to go into a health place. And here's your, excuse me, your organic foods. And in your organic foods, they use paper to wrap it up. So we've got this beautiful organic food wrapped up by BPA or BPS full paper. Now, if it's BPA free or it's not this plastic, if you will, I'm real robust about it. So a lot of when I ask a takeout is, what are you wrapping in? So obviously we want more of a composite type of packaging. The chemicals in your mac and cheese, fascinating. Phthalates migrate into the food from packaging and equipment used in manufacturing. Boxed mac and cheese with powdered cheese had highest concentrations, including the ones labeled organic. So food processing equipment, plastic tubing, conveyor belt gaskets, plastics in packaging. Flame retardants. Now, we talked about that before. Flame retardants, which are PBDE, they're found actually in old furniture and some clothing. Women with high levels are at a risk for thyroid. It really vacillates the percentage, but the BPA increased thyroid dysfunction from 48 to 78%. Again, you're going to see these phthalates, these flame retardants in many of your couches. The number one spot, once again, that you're going to see flame retardants in mattresses. So that poses a distinctive issue in the mattress. So I strongly recommend everybody to look around the things in a house, see what you have going on, and consider changes. We have a BPA-free couch in our house. That was actually an anniversary gift that we shared. So just some ideas. Now we're really going to dig into the numbers. Women use 168 chemicals on their body daily. They just happen to use more than men. The average woman in the US uses 12 personal care products daily. As I said before, it contains 168 chemicals. Men are exposed to 85 chemicals daily. Women with higher levels experience menopause a few years earlier. It's not uncommon. If I think about what I use in the morning, I'm using, and now granted they're all organic, but I'm using a body soap, I'm using a hair shampoo, I'm using a conditioner, I'm using a toothpaste. You'll see what most toothpastes, I'm using a mouthwash, I'm using a deodorant, I'm using a post-shaving tool. I'm using a moisturizer for my skin, a moisturizer for my eyelids. So I'm already at 9 without, a heartbeat, even really thinking. So I too am using a lot of things now. Everything is organic and chemical free. But when you look at the number of chemicals in shampoo, eyeshadow, lipstick, nail varnish, fake tan, if that's what they do, hairspray, which I use, that's 10. Deodorant, blush, foundation, perfume, and body lotion, you're realizing how you can get those numbers up to a really high value. 80% greater autism risk with high prenatal exposure to PCBs. Where we are here, I was only able to get this number. I apologize. But you guys in the UK follow suit, usually second or third or fourth behind America, in that if we're using Protection Agency's Toxic Release Inventory National Overview, it was reported that 3.63 billion pounds of chemicals were disposed of or released to the air, water, or land. You're getting the idea that all the industrialized countries are using too many toxins. Speaking of which, toxic metals. The impact of cadmium exposure on the association between LPS and metabolic syndrome. 300% increase in diabetes amongst those in high cadmium group. Mercury exposure in young adults and the incidence of diabetes later in life. 65% more common in those with high mercury exposure. And aluminum can lead to elevated fasting blood sugar levels. Glyphosate news as we're getting towards almost a halfway point. Glyphosate acts as a powerful antibiotic, slaughters beneficial bacteria in your gut, mimics hormones like estrogen, actually impairs function of vitamin D, depletes key compounds like iron, cobalt, and copper. What's most interesting is glyphosate is in soil. Glyphosate is used as a drying desiccant for gluten. It's the world's most widely produced herbicide. It's used in more than 700 different products. Exposure is linked to autism, Alzheimer's, cancer, depression, fatigue, gluten sensitivity, inflammation, Parkinson's, and glyphosate overactivates phase 1 of the liver, cytochrome P450. A little bit more about glyphosate. It compromises your ability to detox toxins. It actually impairs the synthesis of tryptophan and tyrosine, which are critical amino acids in protein and neurotransmitter production. So this slide really speaks to the idea of the buildup of toxic fat metabolite, which could increase diabetes risk. New findings indicate that high ceramide levels may increase diabetes risk and low levels could protect against it. Ceramides, toxic class of fat metabolites. Ceramides impact the way the body handles nutrients. So again, this is reiterating multiple ideas that toxins actually make body functions work aberrantly. Pesticide exposure actually increases the risk of ALS. Now, one thing that I didn't speak enough of is these toxic expression and toxic effects on the gut. It's very damaging to the gut because we have what we call a gut-liver protocol. So if you go back, we already have covered in one of the preceding webinars all about gut. You may want to go back and understand that in my Super 7 action plan, I've always implemented a detoxification program within the gut program because of this gut-liver or liver-gut pathway. Remember, the liver has the most amount of macrophages in the body. So these pesticides can damage the gut, which can also communicate with the liver. Remember, gut to brain and brain to gut is critical, where you want to have the communication appropriate. Otherwise, you have, like ALS, Parkinson's, and the like, neurodegenerative disease increase. Air pollution, talked about that a little briefly before. Air pollution has significantly led to an increase in diabetes globally. New research links outdoor air pollution, even at the levels deemed safe, to increase risk of diabetes globally. Finding the possibility that reducing pollution may lead to a drop in diabetes cases in heavily polluted countries. And then again, the less polluted, or more polluted countries. But the bottom line is air pollution. We know that because, I mean, where we are going through with this virus, we understand that things are transmitted through the air and they're not always positive for human health. How do you know if you're toxic? Well, we are now working on an updated medical symptom questionnaire. We're going to call it HQ, a health questionnaire. Once again, the symptoms, you can ask the patients to rate them if they have it and how high on the level do they have them. Some of the symptoms are fatigue, sleep, disturbances, GI problems, headaches, allergies, mental fog, and anxiety. You can also check their physiology, seeing if their salivary pH has high acidity, which high acidity, it's just a little like a litmus test, a 10-second test. You'll get increased inflammation because you're looking at, do they have autoimmune reactions and diseases, IBS, learning disabilities, food allergies or sensitivities, asthma, skin disorders, arthritis, a higher chance of developing diabetes, maybe a change in mood, and certainly weight and appetite. You're looking for symptoms in multiple body systems. You're looking at generalized muscle aches, difficulty in concentrating, general fatigue, food allergies or chemical sensitivities, irritability, lethargy and weakness, and abdominal discomfort. As my man Kevin Hart said, when people say they don't detox, stop. You don't know that you have toxins. Yes, that is correct. People say, yeah, I don't really need to detox. It's not a major issue. Not correct. It would be one of the first things that I would add into my practice. And if I'm already doing nutrition, it would be one of the first system kits I would consider. So the whole premise is you want to reduce your exposure so you can detox your body, like these two prospective patients. The liver. The liver has many functions. So remember, it's an emphasis on liver detoxification. The liver works in the body like an oil filter works in the car. The liver processes the body's stored sugar, glycogen. It converts the sugar you eat to usable energy. It creates bile, a critical missing link for me in functional medicine to aid in the digestion of fats. It removes hormones, estrogens and epinephrine. It converts thyroid hormones, and it's the primary detoxification organ. The thyroid hormone, T4, is converted to a more powerful form of T3 in the liver. The liver also regulates stored sugar via gluconeogenesis. This process converts excess sugar to fat and cholesterol. Stored sugar in the liver is called glycogen. It is important that the liver can convert this back to glucose effectively. Bile is the major route of eliminating cholesterol. Bile also carries out toxin broken down by the liver. Improper removal of estrogen can cause an estrogen dominant syndrome. This could lead to PMS, hot flashes, and difficult periods. So remember, how well our body detoxifies determines our susceptibility to disease. If we take in quicker than our body can get rid of it, we're in trouble. Toxic overload is a silent killer. The sick body cannot rally itself if it's busy detoxifying pesticides and other chemicals. Well, here it is. I'd love to say here it is in a nutshell. This could be the whole hour right here. This is it. So everybody take a moment and take a look. There's a lot going on. So to say that you're going to do, or I'm going to have an aloe vera detox, I'm just going to have a fruit detox. Make note, phase 1 of the liver. So the liver is broken down into 2 phases. Phase 1 is 5 reactions with a large number of nutrients. Phase 2 has 6 reactions. Again, many different nutrients. And when you look at the bottom, all the antioxidant protective nutrients that are needed, you realize that it's very hard in a restricted diet to get all the nutrients in. And this is why we recommend supplemental powders, possibly pills, to aid in the needed nutrient to ensure that the detoxification process works in a balanced, efficient form. So let's go through this in a very epigrammatic manner. Toxins, which are fat-soluble toxins typically. They're lipid-soluble toxins, which are typically stored in adipose tissue and contribute to increased mobilized toxic load with weight loss. Fat cells are depositories for toxins. They come to the liver. Phase 1 of the liver typically is too elevated. Phase 2 in the liver, the conjugation pathways, is to decrease. So this fat-soluble toxin comes in and gets converted too quickly to a reactive intermediary. The second half of the liver is not ready for it. It pumps it back, the liver, to the body where it was previously stored to get a secondary tissue damage, which allows an increased release of free radicals and also a more potent damage to the storage, mostly fat cells. This is one of the major reasons why fat cells are highly inflammatory. So the reactions here, you want to balance, I should say. You want to balance like a seesaw, phase 1 and phase 2. So how do we bring down phase 1 with those 5 reactions? There are the nutrients used. So if you notice the powders and the pills and the diet that we recommend, you're going to get all the nutrients needed. Then you're going to support highly that you're breaking that fat-soluble toxic down to a reactive intermediary. You're going to support highly these antioxidant protective nutrients and plant derivatives. So it gets to phase 2, which is the conjugation phase. Those are 6 reactions. They are like conveyor belts. 2 of the 6, please make note, break down estrogen. You're then going to go towards waste, and then you're going to need bile to poop it out and or to use the kidney. Phase 1 and phase 2 are in the liver. Phase 3 is from the liver to the kidney. That is what explains why we want to take a pH, because if you have a pH that's appropriately high, more basic, you have a better chance of getting the toxin, the water-soluble toxin, which just came out of the liver, to the kidney. pH is a critical element. There's specific nutrients like potassium citrate, fruits and vegetables, especially vegetables, that make people's bodies more alkaline. So now that we covered that, let's break this down a little bit more into moving parts. This ongoing detox, here's your fat-soluble toxins. When you look at it, it's metabolic end products, microorganisms, contaminants, insecticides, pesticides, food additives, drugs, alcohol, speeding up phase 1. Phase 1 through phase 2, ultimately getting to the waste products, water-soluble products, which are eliminated in the body via 2 different pathways. One, kidney to urine, which is phase 3, and gallbladder to bile to stool. So the 6 pathways which are critical in phase 2 are sulfation, which is a cortisol pathway, glucuronidation, which is primary and aspirin pathway, glutathione, which enables toxins to detoxify fat-soluble toxins, acetylation, amino acid conjugation, and methylation, the key estrogen pathway. Pathway 2 and 6 are estrogen pathways. So estrogen is detoxed in the liver. That is a key takeaway. Your brain is your brain. Your gut's your second brain. Well, your liver is your third brain. It fights off infections. It neutralizes toxins. It helps to clot blood. It controls blood glucose levels. It breaks down proteins into amino acids. It produces cholesterol. It produces bile, and it produces its own protein. So let's go through in detail a little bit more phase 2 detoxification pathways. So when we look at sulfation, it's a conjugation of toxins with sulfur-containing compounds, neurotransmitters, steroid hormones by cortisol, Tylenol, food additives, xenobiotic and phenolipid compounds. Glucuronidation actually is UGT enzyme playing a critical role. This conjugates glucuronic acid to xenobiotics. It's a critical pathway when sulfation or glycination activity is impaired, which is very typically seen in upregulating in obese patients. It also detoxifies aspirin, food additives, preservatives, estrogen, and bilirubin. It can be reversed by beta-glucuronidase enzyme activity. Glutathione, one of my favorite supplements, eliminates harmful compounds, nutrients needed in adequate supply, cysteine, glycine, and the such. Acetylation, conjugation of acetyl-CoA to toxins, detoxifies tobacco smoke. Slow acetylation added acetyl groups rapidly can result in increased levels of toxic intermediaries. It's quite dependent on thymine, pantothenic acid, and vitamin C. 5 and 6, amino acid conjugation. Conjugation of amino acids, of toxins to amino acids, glycine, taurine, glutamine, arginine, and ornithine enable intermediate metabolites for excretion. Glycine is a critical one. Methylation, conjugating methyl groups to active intermediates to one of the many transfer enzymes. Magnesium, SAMe, vitamin B, folates, and choline are critical to add to enable these two pathways to function optimally. Liver detoxification of estrogens. Metabolism of estrogen takes place primarily in the liver. Promoting favorable phase 1 and phase 2 estrogen clearance is key for female performance and long-term health. As I said earlier, I do want to reiterate that when you're looking at detoxing something in the liver, estrogen comes to mind because of the increased use of birth control pills and hormone replacement therapy. Most women are exposed to exogenous estrogen and need the liver to function at the highest level. So estrogens, whether you make them or take them, or whether you have unknowingly been intoxicated by them, you need to get rid of them every day in a healthy way. So problems with detoxification occur when nutritional, micro, and macro deficiencies lead to poorly performing enzymes. Genetic alterations lead to poorly performing enzymes. Estrogen elimination is impaired through constipation or increased beta-glucuronidase, underlying liver or gallbladder disease. So the bottom line is, as the tissue paper talks to each other, stay positive. There's always a chance that they just blow their nose. You've got to get rid of estrogen. The action of beta-glucuronidase. This is a critical theme. Estrogen gets broken down in the liver. It gets conjugated through bile use we've talked about at the gallbladder. It should be excreted in the stool. It can get stopped, prevented, cleaved by an enzyme, a carbohydrate enzyme called beta-glucuronidase, which would then release free estrogen and cause reabsorption and systemic estrogen toxicity. How do you block this? Probiotics. So most detox kits don't come with a probiotic, and here's why. Because we all know that we want to keep probiotics when we transfer them, when we transport them in a stable refrigeration. So nobody puts them in, ourselves included. That doesn't mean we don't recommend to order the probiotics with the detoxification and give them to the patients. So the answer is yes, without question, that is what you want to do. You want a probiotic with your detoxification program. When the body has a natural protection mechanism to eliminate harmful chemicals and pollutants, there are instances when an individual may benefit from additional nutritional support, such as phytonutrients, to assist the body's antioxidant and detoxification functions. The body's natural detoxification pathways eliminate harmful chemicals and toxins, which may benefit from additional support. Now, here is your additional support. This is and I want to share this with you. I'm going to take my time with the products and then we'll finish up. Here is my detoxification program. The detoxification, or as I would say, the dynamic detox. Here's how it works. It's a critical grade food supplement containing a comprehensive spectrum of essential micronutrients, cofactors like fatty acids, amino acids, dietary fiber for supporting healthy detoxification pathways in your body. It mixes easy, it's gluten-free, it's non-GMO, it's naturally sweetened, it's chocolate and vanilla. And I just want to make that critical because chocolate and vanilla mix well. And most people think because like medical foods or these healthy drinks, they don't taste good. Not correct. The ingredients in a dynamic detox support primary phase 2 detoxification pathways, including all of the 6 that we aforementioned. These enzyme systems are responsible for metabolizing unwanted chemicals by changing them into substances, as we know, that can be safely excreted. It's formulated with select liver-supporting nutrients and cofactors. I'm not going to list them all. They're there for you. The ingredients for the liver have been shown in contemporary clinical research to support healthy phase 1 and phase 2 detox in the liver, as well as supporting healthy immune function. The liver is just one component in detoxifying our body. Believe it or not, there are other organs that are necessary to remove toxins, including skin, lung, kidneys, intestines. Dynamic detox, big takeaway here, contains a variety of gut-supporting nutrients such as vitamin A, carnitines, quercetin, and pea protein. So therefore, the healthy GI tract is critical for keeping your body free from toxic buildup, as your gut contains a multitude of enzymes and microbes that expedite the removal of unwanted substances from the body. And that last statement is what magnifies why I am able to calmly include the detoxification program in my gut program. Now, I also like a capsule formula to support detoxification. NutriCheck X is a unique formula that contains bioactive patented forms of vitamin B12, vitamin B9, folate, as well as antioxidants that support cardiovascular function and nervous system and cellular health. So for me, this is a nice add-on to do what I call tertiary support. Your prime goal, your prime go-to is your dynamic detox. This is without question. This is your starting point. It mixes well. What's great about the dynamic detox is you use it for a detoxification program. Boom. One. You can use it in addition to a gut program, as we say. Boom. Number two. You can take it every day. You know, used to every day have what we call an essentials, an everyday essentials that had a detox in, but the needs grew so much that it was left out because most people don't want to take 30 different pills. However, I was always one that felt that taking detox every day was essential to our overall health, our liver health, our gut health, our brain health, and good body composition. So regulating nutrients in the dynamic detox are L-glycine, magnesium. The dynamic detox supports both optimal function of phase 1 and phase 2 enzymes, the antioxidants, the plethora of antioxidants to support a phase 2, comprehensive vitamin profile, including vitamin A, C, E, and broad spectrum of B vitamins to help neutralize reactive intermediary compounds. Pantothenic acid also supports the production of ATP to power reactions. Eating plan, a modified elimination diet, which is going to be rich in vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, and we want to reduce the allergen and toxic load so the body can detox effectively. What a critical element. Yeah, I'm doing this detox, but I'm eating junk. Makes no sense. You're still overloading the oil filter of the body called the liver. In addition, I'd like to speak to the idea of why you want to take a probiotic. Well, we all know why we want to take a probiotic in general. It really supports gut health. It supports the communication from the inside the gut to the outside of the gut, etc. Probiotics also help detoxify body of heavy metals, free radicals, and dangerous bacteria by enhancing natural antioxidant status in the body. Probiotics also significantly increase glutathione status. Some of the things that most people don't realize, but it's coming to the forefront, and a nutrient called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane helps type 2 diabetes because it leads to a significant improvement in fasting blood glucose levels, reduces the amount of glucose produced by cultured liver cells, reverses abnormal gene expression in the liver. Sulforaphane comes from broccoli, as long as broccoli is chopped or chewed and not cooked. And I'll piggyback up on that in a couple of the succeeding slides. Based on two functions, sulforaphane is shown to ameliorate obesity. It's shown the reduction of metabolic endotoxemia and improves the reduction of metabolic endotoxemia through the gut flora and improves, if you will, sorry about that, energy consumption by the browning of adipocytes. The result, very simple. 15% lower weight gain, visceral fat reduction, and blood glucose level improvement. So it stimulates the key antioxidant pathway, sulforaphane, the NRF2 pathway. That NRF2 pathway is very special to me in that, here's my statement, there are no drugs that upregulate the NRF2, but there's several natural ingredients which do. The one, of course, that we're really detailing now is sulforaphane. So here's my additional Dr. Rob's detox protocol. So let's dig in on the dynamic hormone balance. The dynamic hormone balance is what I call a women's or to support estrogen detoxification. The dynamic hormone balance is a comprehensive blend of evidence-based ingredients that support healthy estrogen balance and endocrine function. It features specific micronutrients, antioxidants, amino acids, prebiotics, and bioactive protein for supporting gastrointestinal integrity and function. It has a lot of what we call foundation ingredients like DIM, flax ligands, resveratrol, isoflavonoids, where the research has shown to act on specific enzymes in the body that mediate a healthy estrogen response. The DIM also can be used to block beta-glucuronidase. It's rounded out by a blend of endocrine-supporting antioxidant compounds such as resveratrol, green tea, curcumin, and grapeseed extract. It is perfect for somebody trying to support estrogen balance and endocrine function. Liposomal glutathione, the master antioxidant, one of my favorite products. You can take that with detoxification to support phase 2. You can also take it in general. I take it every morning. Liposomal glutathione is ensuring that you're going to get ample amount of the master antioxidant in your body. The liposomal for me is a nanotechnology. It ensures that glutathione gets in. If you take straight glutathione, stomach acid kills it. Then you have to take NAC and a slew of other nutrients which can be effective to make glutathione. Why not take the liposomal glutathione, get it into the body, and reap all those benefits? Now, there's a couple of probiotics that I like, so I'll detail 2 of them. The Ultrabiotic Daily Strain Supplement. It's known to support a healthy gut microbiota, macro and micronutrient digestion, supports a healthy inflammatory response, immune function, and promotes healthy bowel function. It is one of the most comprehensive probiotic supplements on the market, featuring a 7-strain blend of friendly organisms. So those friendly organisms are known as probiotics. It's used to promote gut health and overall wellness. It contains 30 billion colony-forming units of the 7-strain blend, now probiotics per serving. The strains are Lactobacillus acidophilus, NCFM, Bifidobacter lactis, BI07 and BL04, Lactobacillus plantarum, 2 different ones, Saccharomyces streptococcus, and Saccharomyces boulardii. Please make note, Saccharomyces boulardii is a yeast. It functions like a probiotic. It can be used at any time, especially at times when you're taking an antibiotic. The other one, which I didn't list, is the Spore Probio. And the Spore Probio has a Bacillus subtilis, which is a spore, which I'll detail right now. What I like about Bacillus subtilis is that studies have shown it's actually helped so potently with the gut to decrease the incidence of Parkinson's. It's a spore probiotic, so it's soil-based microorganisms formed from spores. It's delivered as a dormant spore. Because it's an endospore, it's able to encapsulate beneficial bacteria, making them stable. High resistance to stomach acid results in more usable probiotics in the small intestine. It also supports health because of the multitude of enzymes. It's an endospore because in this endospore it has a cell membrane, and the cell membrane from this enzyme senses changes in the environment. It long chains this cell membrane to protect the bacteria in the gut or other areas. So the spores are a beautiful thing. The spore probiotic also is known to help with leaky gut. It's great with increased levels of LPS. It's shown to truly decrease to the tune of about 42% of that endotoxin. It also decreases triglycerides, and it also shown a reduction of cytokines. So having said all that, the Spore Probiotic with XOS as a prebiotic and a bacteriophage, you've got 2 options or 2 probiotics that you can take together. Omega Pure EPA 2400, it's a liquid. It's an ultra-potent and purified fish oil supplement containing evidence-based doses of the key omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA. Tremendous research has demonstrated the efficacy of fish oil and EPA. I recommend fish oil for all my patients. I recommend the fish oil during the detoxification for cell membrane health. And now where we talk about the brachyraphinin, there's where you're going to aid and get the specific nutrients that are needed and sulforaphane to get sulforaphane. For me, sulforaphane is without question the hidden nutrient. So I'm going backwards briefly, not supposed to do this. Everybody starts with the dynamic detox and everybody starts with the NutriChecks without question. You then, if you excuse what I'm doing, you then want to get, and also at the same time early, you want to take a probiotic or two. You want to take the ultra probiotic or together the spore probiotic. If you want to do a female, if you will, detox, you want to take the hormone balance, liposomal glutathione, NutriCheck, and of course the brachyraphinin. Everybody always gets fish oils. So that's how I break it down. If you guys have any questions on that, either ask at the end or email Rob and I, and we will take care of it. Next steps towards your goal. What do? Just told you, you can continue detox. You can have an estrogen detox. You can have a heavy metal detox. You can have a gut restoration, general wellness, body composition, and weight loss. Just wanted to tell you, your common toothpaste includes gut inflammation. Triclosan is in 75% of the different toothpastes that most people use. It's very gut and liver damaging. So, toxic chemicals lead to the loss of immune tolerance, imbalanced microbiota gut inflammation, leading to the loss of gut integrity, humoral and cell-mediated immune response, cross-reaction with various antigens, the loss of the blood-brain barrier integrity, multi-organ tissue inflammation, and autoimmunity. The increase in toxic chemicals damages liver, goes to your gut, goes to your brain, leads you down a path of neuroautoimmunity. So when people have brain issues and neurodegeneration, the functional medicine route of root cause resolution may go back to liver detoxification and chemical overload. Same thing here, xenobiotic exposure leading you down multiple paths to inflammation and autoimmune reactions. Whoops. Bottom line, just to piggyback as we get towards the finish line, I want to answer one or two questions at the end. Whole body alkalization, it's the cheapest test that you will ever take. It's just a little litmus, stick it in somebody's mouth, color comes out, optimum is 7 to 7.4. I can tell you I've never had anybody 8 in 21 years of practice. Most people are too acidic. All bad things typically grow in acid. So pH can help to defeat pain and inflammation. When you look at it, muscle joint disorders may develop from improper management inflammation, i.e. acid alkaline imbalances. The body has a choice to drop off toxins at a storage depot if the liver cannot dispose of the toxins in time. Handy place is fat cells, collagen, extracellular matrix. Fat cells enlarge, water infiltrates the surrounding extracellular matrix. So one of the reasons that we get muscle aches could be because we can't deal appropriately or effectively with toxic chemicals. Bottom line is you want to detox your fat loss patients because weight loss may push toxins into a bloodstream. Essentially, we've talked about fat cells are depositories for toxins. When you shrink the fat cell, the toxin comes out. If your liver is not able to handle toxins or a toxic overload, your body's fat burning process stops. This is called a plateau. Anybody going on a body composition weight loss program has to add a detoxification program to it to ensure fat burning optimization. It's one of the biggest things I see when people come in and they yo-yo. Promoting weight loss without supporting detox is not effective. Juicing, I know I mentioned fasting programs can actually deprive your body of essential nutrients needed to support detoxification. That's correct. There's not enough nutrients and juicing is high in sugar. Sugar speeds up phase 1 of detoxification. So juicing, and I've seen them in many of the organic stores, is not a form to detox. It doesn't work scientifically with the pathways. 21st century model. Here's how I explain it to all my patients. Real simple. It's the trash can analogy. The only thing I have to do in the house is take out the trash. Phase 1 in the liver is like the trash can. You'll put the trash in the can. Phase 1. Phase 2, removal. That's Rob's job. This Rob, not Rob Buckler's job. This Rob's job. Take it outside for the sanitation engineer. He removes it or she removes it. That is phase 3, carrying it away. I take it out to be removed. If I forget over the weekend when I go away to lecture and I forget to take the trash out and phase 2 is backed up, which is typical, phase 2 being backed up poses an issue. What happens to the trash can over the weekend? It rots, it stinks. That's most people's liver who have yet to do a liver detox. And the biggest takeaway here is, as I get into this, I'll just give you the takeaway, again, in the interest of time. Detox, the one that is necessary now, should be much more powerful, multidimensional than the one 30 years ago. The practitioners are dealing with a much more potent, high level of toxins, and more so than that, it's what would have been correlated to a chess game. It was pawns and bishops. It's now the assaulting the king. So if you don't want checkmate, be prepared with a multitude of products, supplements, diet, lifestyle. The detox or the cleanse that most people talk about was never truly efficient, and it's extraordinarily inefficient at this juncture. What we just shared with you is leading edge outcomes for patients in a multitude of system pathways. So the best way to detox is very simply support the liver, assist the body to remove toxins from storage depots, fat cells, and extracellular matrix. And if you can, support the intracellular process. Best way to detox, change the environment. Stop the onslaught of toxins coming in, then work with the body's own system. Detox is a nutrition issue then. Support the intracellular process is a cutting edge approach. Bottom line is that rampant cellular inflammation inhibits the body's ability to detox itself because of inflamed cell membranes and lack of fluidity. If you want, and this is one of the reasons that I highly recommended omega-3 previously, it was for cell membrane fluidity. Alpha lipoic acid and omega-3 fatty acids are a critical element for cell membrane fluidity. Remember, inflamed cell membranes resist nutrient induction as well as toxic egress. We want the nutrient to be absorbed into the body easily and all the toxins out. And that's the bidirectionality of a fluid cell membrane, which you need alpha lipoic acid and omega-3 fatty acids. Case reports in the future, we can discuss energy levels, skin, hair, overall look, musculoskeletal like OA, muscular aches, fibromyalgia, weight loss, body composition, academic improvement, combination with gut protocols, heavy metal, hormone issues. Rob and I were already talking about next year being a case report. There you have case reports that we can discuss that are very common to every practitioner's usage. As Dr. Jeff Bland once said, he is the godfather, or father, if you will, of functional medicine. A disease is where you've been. Function is where you're going. Please keep an eye out. Rob and Nutridyne Europe are going to support my book. It's coming out in Q1 2021. It's called The Superhighway to Health, 7 Steps to Optimizing the Gut-Brain Connection. And now we'll open it up for any questions. Here's a method that you guys can all get in touch with me. There's my website. There's all my social handles. Feel free to like and follow me, ask a question. I'm going to turn it back over to Rob now as we have a few minutes for any questions.
That's great. Thanks so much, Dr. Rob, for that fascinating talk. A couple of questions based mainly on testing, really. So say if we all pretty much can guarantee that we have some form of toxicity. If someone's a real numbers person, what kind of lab testing could be done to actually see how toxic they are? Would it be hair analysis? What's your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, in America, there's certain states that don't let us do hair analysis, and that's not chiros, that's even medical doctors. I think a hair analysis is fabulous. Believe it or not, some stool analysis where you would see the toxins. Also serum. There's serum tests here in America that also lead you looking at the toxic levels. Believe it or not, a very effective mean is also that health questionnaire that we're coming out with as a starting point, because it resonates with people in numbers as a baseline.
And in terms of like genetics, are some people better detoxifiers naturally than others? Would a genetic test kind of identify whether someone's really poor genetically at detoxification?
Absolutely. So I use a genetic test. There is one without question that tests different detox pathways. I think they've just come to Europe. I can share it with everybody, Toolbox Genomics. Would you like me to give you a link, Rob, when we're done?
Yeah, if you send me the link, I can then share with everyone else. Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Absolutely. It's one that I use all the time. And all you have to do to get the special and the discount is Dr. Rob. So I'll send you everything.
Cool. And finally, are there any downsides to look out for during a detox, or is there any common side effects or symptoms that you have seen over the years?
Yeah, let's be real. Every program we put with somebody or introduce something, many patients, not a lot, but several patients always have something that they feel goes wrong, many of which is placebo, but that doesn't minimize what they're saying. My suggestion is on the detoxification program, the one caveat with a multitude of the women doctors I've worked with is that if they're using birth control pills, many of them have found that it could be conceivable that the detox doesn't allow the birth control pill to work. So you have to indicate that to the females so they understand whatever properties they're using the birth control pill for will be null and void for the 10 to 28 days.
Cool. Something important to know.
Yeah.
Right, that's it in terms of questions. Just one thing I do want to point out with the slide and the product, the broccoraphanin is now sulforaphane complex. If anyone from the webinar is looking for that product on our site, as Dr. Rob has spoken about, hopefully later on this year, we're going to have a webinar on a health appraisal questionnaire. I've currently got Dr. Rob locked in a cave going through years of case studies. So he's coming together with a real fantastic webinar on how to implement a health appraisal questionnaire. And like I say, we are looking next year to bring to you lots of webinars on case reports even, so that people can know how to implement diet lifestyle products into their patients' therapeutical programs. So that's it from us. Dr. Rob, thanks so much again for your time. Thank you to everyone that's attended, and we'll see you again next month for the next webinar.
Thanks a lot. See you soon.
Cheers.